Something happened, y'all. They got me. Oh. I'm back. I came alive again. So I am in the midst of Black ckoweenathon sprints, and I just finished my book, so I figured I would take a little bit of time and tell you about it. And I just finished Nana by Brandon Massey, and I see why people are talking so much about this book. So this book is basically about Monica, who was adopted from birth, and her adopted grandmother just died. And at the funeral, her birth mother shows up and wants to have a relationship with her. And of course she longs for relationships with her mother, so she says, hey, come on to the house, you can stay a bit, get to know me and get to know my family. Now while she's there, all these strange things starts happening. Like, it seems like Nana, that's the birth mother, is getting younger and more beautiful and supple and all that good stuff, yet Monica, her hair is falling out, her teeth are falling out, and she feels like her bones are creaking and all this good stuff. So definitely something strange is happening, and her husband suspects that this has to do with the birth mother. So he goes on a quest to figure out what exactly is going on. Now I thought this book was original. I thought that it was really fast paced and it was exciting. There was a whole lot of twists and turns every time I turned around, and a bunch of shocking things. And I thought that the husband was weak. I thought he was foul, and he is definitely privileged. That's for sure. I thought Nana was a trip. I thought that she was definitely obsessed with sex and having a man. Nana, her real name is Grace. She was rude. Now how you gonna come up into someone's house and immediately start accusing their husbands of things and being rude to other people? But I did like her tell you like it is attitude. But overall, I really enjoyed this book. I definitely will be looking at more things by Brandon Massey. And another book that I read before that is My Soul to Keep by Tananarive. Now I did not know that this book is a quadrology. Is that a word? Quadrology? Anyway, it's part of a 4-book series. I did not know that when I was starting it. I have an issue with series, so I will probably just end it with this book, but I really did enjoy it. Now this is a fantasy horror book that was produced in 1997, so this fits the prompt of 20th century and over 10 years. And pretty much you have Jessica and you have David, who have a really lovely relationship. And Jessica is a reporter, and you find that David is an immortal who has a very kind of sketchy past and does what he needs to do to survive. And when Jessica stumbles upon a project that may help expose him, David takes matters into his own hand to ensure his own preservation and that no one finds out his secret. However, part of his covenant that he has with the other Life brothers is that they keep their secret. So the searchers come looking for him in order to bring him back into the fold. However, David is very much attached to his family of mortals and is not going to go down without a fight, and is coming to some difficult realizations about the future that he wants for himself and his family. Now, I thought David was completely selfish, okay? The scene in the cabin with him and Jessica, to put her through what he did to me was just completely selfish and wrong. And it really pissed me off about him with that. I also did not like the... I'm trying not to spoil it for y'all, but I think he makes a lot of rash decisions that have lasting effects that later on he admits, oh yeah, I could have handled that better. Well, too late, fool, too late. Now, David has lived all over and decides in the 1800s that he is going to go to America just out of curiosity, and then he goes down to the South and realizes that the treatment of black people in the 1840s is not as stellar as it is in the rest of the world. How he views the fact that he chose Jessica as a life mate because it is now at a time where he felt like the suffering of Black people didn't touch her as much as maybe previous relationships. So he decided to finally settle down and have a family that he cherished. I thought that that was just a very unique and intriguing statement. Especially since, you know, we still have a ways to go in this country and in this world. The story of how and the source of David becoming an immortal, I thought was very poignant and really grabbed me. But this is a good book. I really did enjoy it. Okay, so I'm going to get back to sprints. So I'm watching TV with the hubby after my Black Weenathon host, and he says that I look like a tiger.
It's not necessarily a tiger. You have stripes on your face. That's what it looks like in this dimly lit den.
Okay. Make sure you get all that stuff on there. Okay, y'all, I'm tired. Home ownership is not for the faint of heart because somebody has to prune all these trees, and I guess it's gonna be me. These things work wonders. Get you some. Look at my hair, y'all. This is crazy. All right, I'm done. I'm hungry. Qdoba awaits. So my next book is called Lakewood by Megan Giddings, and this is a dystopian sci-fi type novel. And this is about a college student named Lena whose grandmother dies, and her mother has this chronic illness that nobody knows what it is. And she really needs money after her grandmother dies because she was a very big financial supporter of the family. So Lena decides to volunteer for this experiment for this company based in Lakewood, and she realizes that all of the participants are Black and the staff are mostly white. And as she goes through this experiment where they are injecting her with all sorts of stuff and are giving her pills, then she realizes that there's something bigger, more nefarious at hand. Now, this book really shows why Black people are very distrustful of the government and also of the medical community, and it uses a lot of receipts from history to back that up. I thought that Lena did not ask as many questions definitely as she should have. I mean, you're signing a NDA, moving to some little crazy small town in Timbuktu, and the benefits and perks of this experiment is really, really good. Not to mention, this study lacks a whole lot of details, like what exactly are they studying? But interesting book. I really, really did enjoy it. Another book I read is from Kindle Unlimited. It's called Tricked by a Treat, and it is a horror erotica type book. And pretty much you have Delvin and Arista who met online, and they decide to meet for a date. And she goes to his basically dilapidated plantation mansion in the woods. As they get to know each other after her car breaks down, then she realizes that something's not right with him, but she really doesn't seem like she minds that much. Now, I thought this book was really suspenseful. It was spooky, and it was quick, almost a little bit too quick. I think that a lot of the story was summarized after the fact that didn't sit right with me. But I do like that Arista speaks her mind, and she definitely has something to say about this ex-boyfriend of hers that was all right with who she was up until he got famous, and then he wants to dump her for a lighter version. That is definitely something that people of color experience in this world, and it is unfortunate. But I thought it was really interesting. I do think that the book could probably use some editing and proofreading though. And the next book I read also on Kindle Unlimited is called Trick or Treat: A Night from Hell. Now, this is a horror, fantasy, erotica type novella, and it's actually part of a series called the Deadly Secret series, which I was not aware of. And the author is E. Bowser. And this book is basically about Damon and Blossom, who are going on their first date. And they are demons from hell, and they are tasked to take these children, he calls them creatures, trick-or-treating for Halloween. Before they go trick-or-treating, Damon finds out a very life-altering aspect of his life that he has to deal with. While they're trick-or-treating, this event happens that causes them all to have to fight and possibly get exposed to the humans of the world. This book was also quick. I do think it could use some editing as well, but I thought it was entertaining. Just a lot of characters. I could not keep them straight, and also the characters were called different names, so just kind of confusing, but it was an interesting story. And the last book that I read this week is called The Haunting of LaQuisha Brown, and this is a horror story that is actually based off a true story. It is told from the perspective of 14-year-old LaQuisha Brown, whose mother, like 5-6 years ago, invited her friend to stay with her when she was on hard times, and the friend not only stole the husband, but she put voodoo on the family, which caused LaQuisha to become possessed. This book kind of follows that storyline. I felt like this book was told very formal with tons of just not needed details, but I did think that it was an interesting read. I especially liked that there was a lot of quotes to live by, like only depend on yourself. You are the only person who will always be there for you in thick and thin. Don't ever make permanent decisions based on for temporary problems. Just things like that. Just a lot of really good quotes that's good to kind of tack on a wall somewhere. But overall, I thought it was a really good book and I did enjoy it. And that is all the books that I have read this week for Black Weenathon. And I am excited to have one more week to get a crack at this bad boy and see what other books that I can come up with. So peace out, y'all. I'll see you next week.